There are 4 core kinds of triads: major, minor, augmented, and diminished. To create these triads, we need to focus on the major triad. We could memorize all the different major triads, but I'm going to give you a list of 7 core triads that we can use to create all the other major triads. The easiest way to create a major triad is to take the first, third, and fifth notes of a major scale. A major scale follows the pattern of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. The major scale that we're most familiar with is the C major scale. If we start with the note C on a piano and then follow the white notes, we will play a C major scale. We need the first, third, and fifth notes: C, E, and G. Do, mi, so, mi, do. Another way to create the C major triad is to know that a major triad is composed of a major third with a minor third stacked on top. A major third is 2 whole steps. So if we go up 2 whole steps from a C, we go from a C to a D, that's 1 whole step, and a D to an E, that's another whole step. So C to E is 2 whole steps. That's a major third. Now we need a minor third on top of the E. A minor third is either a half step and a whole step or a whole step and a half step. It depends on which is more convenient for you. In this case, we're going to use a half step and a whole step. We're going to go up a half step from an E to an F. Then we're going to go up a whole step from an F to a G. So, a half step up from an E is an F, and a whole step up from an F is a G. So now we have a minor third. So now we have a major triad, a major third, and a minor third stacked on top of that. Now, there's another triad that I think is more important than the C major triad. That's the A, C sharp, E triad. Okay? The C is sharped because of the key signature. The key signature for A is F, C, G. So that means that the C must be sharp. It's easy to remember the A major triad because it's spelled ace. And also, we remember that the C should be sharp because ace performers and artists, or ace athletes and artists, are sharp. So we have the ACE triad. Now, we could recreate this triad by using the same pattern of a major third and a minor third stacked on top of that. So if we go up a major third from A to B is 1 whole step, and B to C sharp is another whole step. So that's a major third. Okay, remember, B to C sharp is a whole step because B to C is a half step, and C to C sharp is another half step. 2 half steps make a whole step. So again, we go A to B, that's 1 whole step, that's easy, but B to C sharp, that's a whole step. That's the tricky one. We need to remember that. So A to C sharp is a major third. Now we're going to go up a minor third from C sharp. C sharp to D is a half step, and then D to E is a whole step. Again, C sharp to D is a half step, and D to E is a whole step. So a major third above a C sharp is an E. Again, so we have A, C sharp, E as our A major triad. The A, C sharp, E major triad is, in my opinion, one of the most important triads there is because it can be used to easily construct the other triads. That's what we're going to do next. Okay, we were talking about how we were going to come up with those other 6 very important triads given the ever so important A, C sharp, E triad. So we're going to do something very brain dead. We're going to go A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And then over in the middle column, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And on the last column, we're going to go E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Okay, all of these are actually triads, and they're spelled diatomically correct. But the thing is, we're missing, if we want to make them major, we're missing some sharps in a few places. Now, we can ignore this first column, but in these second and third columns, every time we see an F, we're going to make it sharp. That's on these core 7 triads. The other thing here is on the left, in the middle column, we have, every time we see one sharp, we're going to go to the next line and add another sharp. Okay? There we go. So right after the C sharp, we add a D sharp, and after the F sharp, we add a G sharp. These are key triads that you need to remember. Now remember, we said that all triads were made up of a major third plus a minor third. You can go back in there and you can see that this is a major third, and then here to here is a minor third, okay? Right up there, if you need to, for all of these, to make sure. But for now, just take my word that these are the core triads that you need to remember. Next, after this, we're going to go in and we're going to show how you can shift from these core triads into any other triad. And that's going to be particularly useful if someone asks for like a F-flat major triad, because there is no F-flat major signature. And it might be a pain to go with to think in your head quickly, what is a major third above F-flat? And then from there, a minor third above that note. So we're going to do something that's going to be a little easier. All right, we'll come back in a minute. Okay, we're back now, and now we're going to cover how we shift from these triads over to any other major triad. So, suppose your professor is tough and decides to ask you for an F-flat major triad. Well, we're going to start with the F-A-C triad, and we can just lower everything a half step. That'll bring us down to F-flat, and then we'll have an F-flat major triad. So we'll say F lowered a half step is F-flat, A lowered a half step is A-flat, C lowered a half step is C-flat, which is B. But by lowering each of these notes a half step, we did not change the fact that this is a major triad. It's a really cool benefit, or a really cool trick. Now, that's a lot easier for me than, say, going from F-flat to G-flat is a whole step, G-flat to A-flat is a whole step. That's your major third. And then your minor third would be A-flat to B-flat is a whole step. And then B-flat to B is a half step. And then my brain starts frying because B and C-flat are the same thing. A-flat to B-flat is a whole step. And then B-flat to C-flat is a half step. See, it fries my brain. So this is way easier. Just flat everything drop everything by, a half step. Now, let's suppose we want to go to a C-sharp major triad. Okay, so we'll start with C, E, G, right? And so all we do is we're going to change this to C-sharp. We're just going to raise everything by half step. So we got C-sharp, E-sharp, G-sharp. Now we know this is right because in the key of C-sharp major, everything is sharp. But again, This is, in my opinion, easier than going C sharp to D sharp is a half step. D sharp to E sharp C sharp to D sharp is a whole step. D sharp to E sharp is a whole step. That would be a major third. Okay? Okay, because, E sharp we know is F. And so then brains start frying when we go over here on this minor third. When we try to find the minor third, it just racks my head to pieces. But we're just gonna go think that this is an F. Okay, we're gonna pretend it's an F for a minute, even since it's inharmonically equivalent to the E sharp. So we're gonna go up a step from F, that's G, and then another half step to G sharp. So it is a minor third, in fact. So this did work, but this is way easier than that other mess. Okay? This will work for anything. Okay? Let's go back here. We need an A flat. We need an A flat major triad. So we go A, C sharp, E. We start with that. We lower everything by a half step. A flat, C sharp lowered by a half step is C, and then E lowered by a half step is E flat. That's how easy that is. It's a piece of cake to go from these 7 major triads that you memorized, or that you will memorize, that I memorized, to any major triad there is. Okay? Simple, dirt simple. Now we go to the final easy step. And that's where we go from any major triad, and we just convert over to the augmented, the minor, or the diminished triad. We'll do that next. Okay, we're back. We're going to do an augmented triad. Now, in music theory, you found out, you're going to find out that an augmented triad is a major triad with a major triad. 2 major triads stacked. Instead of a major triad and a minor triad, which creates a perfect fifth, and also creates when you add that to the root, it creates a perfect fifth. But instead of having a major third and a minor third like you would have in a major triad, we've got 2 major triads, and that creates an augmented fifth, or an A5. Okay, not a perfect fifth. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and compute an augmented triad given a major triad. So to make this simple, we're just going to start with the major triad CEG. All right? If we were to augment that, all we would do is raise the fifth, the perfect fifth. We just raise it a half step. So we got CEG right there. Okay? And let's go check. C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. So that's a major third. E to F sharp is a whole step. F sharp to G sharp is a whole step. So we got 2 major thirds here. So we know this is augmented. Okay? So we just go from the major triad and we raise the fifth. Right? Okay. But here's the question. What if we have to do an augmented triad for F sharp, an F sharp augmented triad? So what would that be? F sharp. I don't remember the symbol, but anyways, an F sharp augmented triad. So we got, let's go from FAC. We'll take FAC as the base. And then we'll raise everything. Step 1, we're going to convert that into an F sharp major triad. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp. We just raised everything by a half step. Okay. So now the final step, step 2, is we just sit here and raise the fifth. So we get F sharp, A sharp, C double sharp. Okay. If you have to do this, well, C double sharp, you might want to look, I'm sure you're familiar with double sharps and double flats. But if you were to have to do this, it's basically a D. If you were to have to do this using the step of two major thirds, it might get a little confusing. Here we go. We're going to start with an F sharp. F sharp to G sharp is a whole step. G sharp to A sharp is a whole step. So that's a major third. A sharp to B sharp, this is where my brain fries, because I don't handle B sharps real well. A sharp to B sharp is a whole step. And B sharp, which is a C, raised a whole step, becomes D. Okay, but here we got a problem. F-A-D is not spelled diatonically correct. So what do we do to get to the D? Well, we know that we can write a C double sharp, and that will get us a D. So now we have F-A-C, and that's diatonically correct. Because when you're writing triads, you have to skip a letter, okay? We go F, next letter, we skip G, and then A, and then we go B, we skip that and go C. We can't skip two letters. We can't go A, B, C, D like I was trying to do. That's a no-no, okay? This is where things start getting all confusing when you're dealing with B sharps and stuff, because A sharp up a whole step is B sharp. Well, that's, and then trying to compute a whole step up from B sharp, my brain blows up when I do that. I have to convert it to a C and then go up a whole step from a C to get to a D. Then I realize a D is not diatonically correct with this triad, and so then I have to go back down to a C double sharp to make it diatonically correct. Much easier to do it this way. We start with the FAC triad. FAC triad. We raise everything a half step, which brings us to the major triad we want, and then all we do is we raise that fifth to become C double sharp. So we have FAC double sharp is the triad of interest. After that, next we will cover the minor triads. All right, we're back. Now we're going to cover the minor triads. The minor triads are a minor third and then a major third stacked on top of that. A minor third and a major third. Okay? But, and so we still have a perfect fifth here, by the way. Because with the major triad, we have a major third and a minor third. That forms a perfect fifth also. So we just flip-flop the two. So remember, it's a perfect fifth. And so the good consequence of this when going to a major to a minor is that over here, these fifths will stay the same. They will stay identical. The front note to the end note that's not going to change when you go to a minor. All we're going to do to convert to minor is we're going to drop this middle note. Okay? So as a lame example, we'll take the DFA triad, which we already memorized, and all we do is we're going to drop the middle note. So we have DFA, and DFA is naturally a minor triad. Now let's check that. D to E is a whole step. E to F is a half step. So we have a minor third. F to G is a whole step. G to A is another whole step. So we have a major third. That's supposed to be a little m, by the way. Okay? So that is a minor triad. And note, see? The fifth did not change. Okay? But that's all you do. You just go over here. Let's say B. B to F. We want to convert this major triad into a minor triad. We just go lower the middle. B, lower the middle. D, F sharp. Got it? I mean, just take that middle and drop it down. Okay, so what if we want an A flat minor triad? How do we do that? Well, A flat minor, we start with A, C sharp, E, that's the one we memorized. And then we're going to drop everything a half step to get to A flat, drop that, C sharp goes down to C, E goes to E flat. Okay, so we got, this isn't A flat major triad. You know, to go to a minor triad from a major triad, all we do is the second step, we just lower the middle tone. So we got A flat, C flat, E flat. Now let's make sure this is right. A flat to B flat is a whole step. B flat to B is a half step. B and C flat are the same note, so we have here a minor third. See, that's very confusing, but it is a minor third. Now, let's see if this is a major third. C flat to D flat is a whole step. D flat to E flat is a whole step. So we have two whole steps. So now we have a major third. We have a perfect fifth, and we have a minor third followed by a major third. So we have a minor triad. But I don't know about you, but it is way easier for me to just start with the major triad and lower the middle tone. Okay? And the way we do that, since we did not memorize yet, and we should, but we haven't memorized the A flat major triad yet, we're just going to start with the ACE triad, and we're going to lower everything by a half step to get to the A flat major triad, and then we're going to lower the middle tone. And lastly, we're going to cover diminished triads. Okay, now we're going to cover diminished triads, which does not have a perfect fifth. It has a diminished fifth, and a diminished triad consists of a minor third stacked upon a minor third. Okay, two minor thirds, and that creates a diminished fifth. And don't ask me why I'm having a brain malfunction right now, but I think it's often used to use a circle for it. But my brain is like fried right now. So anyway, we've got. We're gonna go. Let's just take CEG as an example. We're gonna turn CEG into a diminished triad. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, we lower the third and the fifth. That's all we do. We just go C, and then E flat, and then G flat. We just lower those. Now let's see if this actually is diminished. C to D is a whole step. D to E flat is a half step. So we have a minor third. E flat to F is a whole step. F to F sharp is a half step, which is G flat. So that's a minor third. So yes, we have a diminished fifth triad. Okay? So it was way easier to just start with this bass and then drop down, a half, drop the middle and the fifth down a half step. So let's go ahead and let's try one more example. Here's a special diminished chord. And my professor pointed this out to us. She says it's best friend. It's Dr. Wing Lau of University of Arkansas. She calls it the best friend triad, okay? Anyways, because you have to be nice to your best friend, so you have to sharp the friend. You have to give them a little boost, is what she says. Right. So anyways, we're going to show you that this is a special diminished triad. This is actually a major triad. So how do we convert from major to minor? We drop the middle note down a half step. That gives us D. And we drop the fifth down a half step. That gives us F. So we have B, D, F. This is a diminished triad. It's special. It's that way just by spelling the notes out. We don't have to, sharp anything. We don't have to flat anything. This is something that you might want to memorize. I don't know. You don't have to because you've got this memorized and you know if you drop those two that you'll get to a BDF, but this is a special one. So now we're going to, and let's just check that this is diminished. We got B to C is a half step, C to D is a whole step, so we have a minor third. D to E is a whole step, E to F is a half step, so we have a minor third. So it is diminished in fact. So now oh my goodness, I'm running out of paper. Now we're just gonna pick up we're gonna try to compute an arbitrary diminished triad. So what if we want an F sharp diminished triad? Okay, well, we start with the FAC, step 1, FAC, and then we're going to bump everything up by a half step. So we get F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, right? So that's right there. That's still a major triad. Now we're going to make it diminished. Piece of cake. Just lower the third and the fifth. So we go F sharp, A, and C. And did this work? Well, F sharp to G sharp is a half step. Oh, F sharp to G sharp is a whole step. G sharp to A is a half step, minor third. A to B is a whole step. B to C is a half step, minor third. It worked. One last example. I'm going to try to pick something. I don't know. I mean, and this even works if you wind up with, I think we saw one example with a double sharp somewhere, and I'm not able to do this off the top of my head, but to finish this off, we're just going to pick one last example at random, and I don't know if we'll wind up with any, no, we're not going to want to wind up with any double sharps or double flats, I don't think, because the DFA was the one that would have wound up, well, no, like the BDF, if you augment that, you're going to get like, an F double sharp on that. And it's not G. You can't go B, D sharp, G. That's not right because you have to stay within the scale. You have to stay on the scale notes. B, C, D, E, F. You skip the C and you skip the E, but you don't skip the F. Okay. So let's see. How can we make a double flat? I don't know. It's going to hurt my brain, but let's say that we want an A flat diminished triad. Okay? So we're going to start with A, C sharp, E. Now how do we convert that to an A flat major triad? We drop everything by a half step. A flat, and then C dropped by a half step is C, and then we drop the E to an E flat. So we have the A flat, C, E flat major triad. That's major. Now we want diminished. So what do? We drop the third and we drop the fifth. We go A flat, C flatted is C flat. Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't like C flat. It drives me crazy. I actually do sometimes practice. I did used to practice theoretical key signatures, but I haven't been doing it lately. It's important to do so, but if you haven't gotten there yet, this will make your life easier. Now we drop the E flat and we wind up with E double flat. Really? This is kind of the thing that would rack my brain. And that's why it's so much easier to just use this method instead of doing all that crazy whole step, half step stuff. But let's do it. Let's do the whole step, half step stuff anyways. Let's see. Diminished triad is a minor third and a minor third. A flat to B flat is a whole step. B flat to B is a half step. C flat and B are the same thing, so we do indeed have a minor third. Now, let's see if this is a minor third. Fry our brains again. C flat to D flat is a whole step. D flat to D is a half step. D flat and E double flat are the same note. So we do have a minor third. Okay? I don't know about you, but this is one of the methods that I hope to use in the future. And I find it a lot easier than, doing whole steps, half steps, and all that kind of stuff. I just, if I can just move a half step at a time in one direction or another, that makes things easier for me. And one of the things that's really important is you need to do this quickly. And I'm in a music theory 1 class and I'm getting snowballed. And so I need to be able to do this fast. And this is one of the easy ways. And ultimately, I would like to memorize all of that huge list of major triads that I showed you, but I don't have them all memorized right now. And this is my cheat sheet. I can go from these core 7 triads, as long as I memorize these, to any of the major triads. And then once I have any of the major triads, it's a trivial matter for me to go to augment, from major to augmented, or major to minor, or major to diminished. That's all I have to say.